service members who were killed in Afghanistan at Kabul Airport's Abbey Gate. That was August 26, 2021. 3 of the 13 are buried at the Arlington National Cemetery. Former President Donald Trump visited the cemetery following a wreath-laying ceremony to honor those who lost their lives that day. He did so at the invitation of the families. A video of the visit posted by the Trump campaign on TikTok showed the former president walking through Arlington and visiting grave sites. It's a violation of federal law to use cemetery footage for campaign purposes. Prior to Trump's visit to Section 60, that's an area in the cemetery largely reserved for the graves of those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Campaign officials were made aware of federal laws which prohibit political campaign or election-related activities. They were asked not to take photos or videos for that purpose. The grounds are considered sacred and hallowed. An Army spokesperson said an employee who attempted to ensure adherence to these rules was, quote, abruptly pushed aside. The statement goes on to say, consistent with the decorum expected at ANC, this employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption. The incident was reported to the police department, but the employee subsequently decided not to press charges. Therefore, the Army considers this matter closed. Since Monday, accounts from the scene have varied. Former President Trump has insisted there was no violation of law. Communications director for the Trump campaign, Stephen Chung, posted on X that the campaign was granted access to have a photographer there. Chung also disputed claims of a physical altercation and has said there's video to back this up, yet none has been released thus far. Former President Trump published a statement on Truth Social from 5 family members, thanking him for making the visit and saying, "We are deeply grateful to the president for taking the time to honor our children and for standing alongside us in our grief, offering his unwavering support during such a difficult time." Joining me now is one of those family members, Christy Shamblin, mother-in-law of Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole G. G, aged 23, was deployed to Afghanistan, where she served as a female engagement team member to help facilitate evacuation support for Afghan women and children. She was killed in a suicide attack along with 12 other service members that day, leaving behind a husband. Christy, thank you so much for being here. Please tell me about Nicole.
Oh, thank you for having me. Nicole was a ray of light. She was an encourager. She believed in having a positive mental attitude, and she was so very proud to be serving on with the FET team in Afghanistan. She was very, very proud to serve there, and they all worked so hard to get the most vulnerable out of that country before, certain death. And we're very proud of her. And we want to continue on her legacy and being encouraging and having a positive mental attitude.
I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm trying to understand what exactly went on Monday. You wanted the former president there. By the way, I think it's a wonderful thing that he was there, reflective and honoring our war dead. But it crossed a line at some point. How do you see it?
Well, first, I want to remind everybody that it's really hard to find a way on August 26th to celebrate, and we want to celebrate our heroes. We invited both President Trump and the Biden-Harris administration, and we didn't hear back from the White House. We were happy to welcome President Trump to lay wreaths with all 3 of our families and some of our wounded from that day. And when he came to Section 60, it was at our request to spend time with our loved ones. There was not a press presence there. We privately took pictures among ourselves. And it was, a more celebratory feeling for that day because, we want to celebrate our loved ones, and it's very hard to find ways to do that. At a cemetery, but they were very respectful. We didn't see any altercation, and really we just want our loved ones to be honored and remembered in a positive way.
So I hear and respect all of that. At the same time, I have to say he should not have used the video that was recorded in TikTok for a campaign purpose. Can we agree on that?
I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know what it is. But there's no political campaigning that was done at Section 60 that day.
Right.
It was a respectful
And
time.
I'm showing,
Yeah.
I'm showing what was put on TikTok so that the audience can see it. And I recognize you might not be able to see it. We didn't lose one person in 18 months, says the narration. And then they took over that disaster, the leaving of Afghanistan. We lost 13 great people. I mean, it's got a message of saying, I did right by our soldiers, and Biden and Harris did not. I mean, up until that point, I get it. It's great that he's there. Family members want pictures. Terrific. Take the pictures. Do whatever the family members want. But he shouldn't have put it on TikTok for a political purpose.
Well, I just have to go back to, we really just want our kids to be remembered and honored. And it's unfortunate that we can't get that, in other ways. So we support President Trump, and he's supported us.
A final question, if I might. Do you worry that the legitimate issue of the way in which we left Afghanistan and the circumstances 3 years ago at Abbey Gate now sort of diminishes as an issue, because when people think of Afghanistan, the withdrawal, it'll be the controversy over Arlington instead of a very appropriate focus on the death of those 13? Final thought on that?
I think our media needs to do a better job of focusing on the Afghanistan withdrawal instead of things like this that aren't really relevant or important. I mean, we were very respectful. I understand that there may have been, a little bit of a misunderstanding, but we'd like to take the focus back to, just like you said, let's talk about how we left all the equipment behind. Let's talk about the Americans and the Afghans we left behind. Let's talk about the people we brought over that weren't vetted. Let's talk about the wounded. And that's what we want to bring focus back to. I appreciate that, because that's exactly what we want.